here today we have Zoe, the Sacred Sexuality Coach, and the topic today will be about sacred sexuality.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, I'm a sacred sexuality guide, and what I do is simply work with women and bring them back into their power around sexuality, and also seeing sexuality as something that is multidimensional rather than one-dimensional only, which is pleasure or pleasing a partner. Rather, you see it as something that's spiritual, healing, invigorating, life-giving, a portal into the divine, basically. That's what we're talking about today.
Lovely. She knows all about it, and I'm learning more and more each day. And before we start this off with each podcast we do, we invite you and both of us to join in a ceremony with a sacred beverage of your choice, whether it's tea, cacao, water, whatever. Basically, you're going to connect to it in a loving way and bless it with your energy. So we will begin that. So just connecting to your heart. Connecting to your life force energy, which resides at the base in the perineum, as well as moving up to the sacral. And allowing these two chakras to connect with each other from the anahata to the sacral. And as we begin to connect to our sacred beverage, it's bringing awareness to how our energy can make things sweet or bitter. And we can choose through each moment to connect to a sweet reality. Just stay connected there. And together we will move into 3 ah, ooh, and ums, connecting from the base of the belly, the sacral, to the heart, and to the third eye, through ah, ooh, and So breathing in. And if you are drinking cacao today, just allow cacao to enter your heart, the spirit of cacao, as well as any ancestors, spirit guides, or benevolent beings of the highest light and love to be with you in this space with a warm embrace. You may begin to sip your sacred beverage as you wish, as you listen to this podcast.
Aho.
Aho.
Thank you for connecting in with us. We do that practice on our own pretty much every morning, or at least I do it every morning. But sometimes Michael joins me, and it's just never fails to drop me in.
Definitely. And at the moment I haven't been as much because I've been doing more martial arts and going pretty crazy into that. I've been training like 6 hours 3 days a week, so yeah, so I'm trying to find more balance with that.
Yeah, and then we also have events like ecstatic dance on Tuesdays where it's like 2 hours long of dancing. You don't have to dance for 2 hours, but you usually end up dancing for 2 hours, and then
it's lots.
It's a lot.
So much.
It's a lot of movement. Yeah.
Yeah, so on the topic of sacred sexuality, first of all, the word sacred, what does that mean?
Like you're wanting the definition?
Yeah, like what does sacred mean to you? Not the exact definition, right? What's the definition?
Such a Gemini moon. I'm like, do you want the exact definition? Because like sometimes he does.
I love words, okay?
Okay, well, it combined is what I will share.
Totally.
What sacred sexuality means. So it's kind of what I hit on a bit earlier, where sexuality throughout the ages, way back when, was sacred and was used in a way where you understand your life force energy, you understand how it moves in your body, you understand your cycles, you understand your genitals, you understand your body basically, and you listen deeply to your body and to your sexual organs. Because this is a podcast that won't get monetized, I'll just say lingam and yoni. You listen to those parts deeply. Whereas nowadays, sexuality is deemed as this act that you do with another person, and it's solely for...
Bang, bang, get her done.
Yeah. And it's solely for pleasure or for reproduction. And a lot of the times it's solely for lust or validation. And it's not it's not only our faults, it's our lineage of that, which has happened over the past few centuries, of this turning sour and the sexual veil of what I like to call it coming into the world and sort of dimming down what sexuality really is. And what it really is this sacred art. And sexuality is such a large word. I can't even just say that it's just lovemaking. It's also self-pleasure. It's also pleasure. It's also life force energy. It's also communing with your partner, with yourself, with your heart, with your body, with your genitals. So sacred sexuality is getting back to your connection to your body, to sex as an art and as a sacred lovemaking act, to performing with your life force energy in a way that is vital, is healing, and basically getting back to ancient practices. The ancient Egypts did this, ancient Taoist traditions, and of course the ancient tantric traditions. So that's really what sacred sexuality means to me. And I call it sacred sexuality because I don't like to use the word tantra, and if I were to reference any tantric teachings, I would say Kama Sutra. And I also just don't like to say Taoist because it's not full, like I don't use the full philosophy. So I like to call it sacred sexuality. Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
It's very long-winded.
So yeah, for me, sacred sexuality and the word sacred means something that is like revered and honored. It's something that is like not just like played with and just like, oh yeah, it's it's just this thing you do and you get it done and you have a child. It's something that is much deeper than just reproduction, especially for human beings, because we can have a multidimensional connection with ourselves and with the universe. And so for me, and my own practices with breath work and that connection has definitely brought me to a place where I'm connecting to my sexual energy in a much different way. So for me, my sexual energy is sacred. It's not something I just spit here, spit there, and I just don't care about. This is something that drives my life, and usually from me spitting it here and there is just self-sabotage, and it's also just not me, truly. So yeah, deep reverence for learning how to transmute sexual energy and use it to give your life depth and power and energy, to propel your life in a way that you can be of service to humanity and to the world, where if one is not treating their energy in life with reverence, they're not going to have that energy to actually give to anyone or to themselves. So, yeah.
Totally.
So with what brought you to dive deep into sacred sexuality?
Yeah, this is a really big question for me. I would say one of the things is obviously a toxic relationship that I went through that was about 5 years long, and it was sort of my first introduction into the realm of sex and sexuality. And it was very dark and very unfulfilling and heartless, and I was just yearning for more. I thought, I was like, there has to be more to this because everybody loves it. And I also, that wasn't the only thing. Also, when I was in high school, I was very cut off from my pleasure, from my power, from self-love. And whenever I engaged in sex, I just completely shut down. It scared me. I wasn't ready. And I was very not in tune with my pleasure. It was never pleasurable for me. And I was always like, how the frick do I unleash this? How are all these women in my school running around having orgasms and having so much fun with sex? And I remember one of my friends was very sexually active and would always kind of rub it in my face that she was having a lot of sex and enjoying it. And I was kind of like, how the frick do you do that? So that, and then also combined with quite a dark entrance into sexuality, when I broke off my partnership with this man, I started going on a self-love journey. And my friend actually sent me a video of Kim and Nami talking about sacred sexuality and Taoist traditions and how your life force energy and all these things. And it just blew my mind because I never had ever heard anything like that about sex before. So basically, I just started on this journey without taking any courses. I watched a few of Kim and Nami's videos and got the gist of it, but it was mainly me doing self-pleasure practices and going in deep that way. Yeah, that's really what I was.
So cool.
Yeah.
A wild woman. To do those things, very courageous.
Thank you. Yeah.
Without much support at all.
Yeah. Well, the thing is too is I guess support is needed for sure, and I had sisters around me that were on the same journey, so we would talk about it with each other.
Right.
But it was also my body was almost my support. It was me reconnecting to the love and support that I always had.
Yeah, you're very good at just letting emotions flow. So
yeah,
it's not my forte as much. for allowing emotions to flow, but this woman, she just lets them flow. They're just.
I could cry right now.
Yeah, she could cry right now.
I could cry right now if I wanted to.
Yeah. My medicine's a bit more fierce.
I think I said that in the last podcast too, is that I'm a crier.
Yeah.
That I could cry, yeah.
Just cry at any moment.
Just so you know, again, I'm a crier.
Yeah.
So same question for you is what brought you to dive deep into sexuality and what's your relationship to it? Specifically sacred sexuality.
It's a deep one. Sexuality is a very taboo topic. And I would say there's usually a lot of trauma just in general with most people with their sexuality. So that's what brought me to my journey was trauma. So I experienced sexual trauma through my life, and I wanted to overcome it. I wanted to move past it and just freaking let it go, man. And yeah, so I just decided to go deep into that. I also connected to a brother, Tyson Adams. He's really amazing, awesome guy. He's helped me work through some of it. And now it's just, I'm really feeling like I'm stepping into the reclaiming my sexual energy, and being in a connection with it rather than it using me, or this pull to porn, or this pull to ejaculate, or this pull to like find pleasure or find wholeness in something external rather than my own divine capacity as a human being. So yeah, that's what brought me to this journey, and it's really fun now. So yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, and yeah, it's really feeling good now. So.
It's the practice too. Like
it takes a long time. I've been practicing like not sexual things, but like practicing semen retention, practicing like celibacy, complete abstinence from sex for a long period of time, and it really what the challenge was for me was coming to that edge of that sexual experience and being healthy in that experience rather than it just being a freaking mess that just destroys my life, you know? So, yeah.
Beautiful.
I forgot what we were talking about a little bit after, but anyways.
It happens, yeah. We were basically just talking about why you started to dive deep into it. But yeah, that's really beautiful. And then I guess also we both have had struggles with the porn industry, which I think literally everyone
like if you haven't, reach out because I'd love to meet you. You're probably a pretty decent human being.
You're probably so enlightened. You're probably like blasting out pleasure and like golden light from your body because you haven't been like tainted by the porn industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I would just like to add, I think that's also one of the reasons why we both, or I'll speak for myself, I am statements NBC. That's why I also personally got into it, was also because of this porn addiction and this need to seek elsewhere for pleasure rather than finding it in my own body. Yeah, I just wanted to hit on that.
Lovely. Wholeness. It's a great thing. How has it impacted your life, and why are you sticking with it? Why are you continuing to practice these methods? And
My story with sacred sexuality is so long. There's so many things that have happened, and how it has impacted my life is like, there's just so many things I could say. So let me just see what I want to share so that I'm not taking up too much space. Yeah, so when I first started with the self-pleasuring, what really impacted me back then was it helped me heal. And I know everyone talks about this, I did about a year of talk therapy with a really great therapist who also knew a bit about embodiment and finding trauma within your somatics. And that was great, but once I entered into self-pleasure and healing and releasing stuck trauma through pleasure, through sexuality, it blew me away. It's so hard to explain, but basically I would have these self-pleasure sessions, and anytime I would orgasm, whether that's clitorally or vaginally or energetically or whatever, I would have these cathartic releases, and I, every single time, without fail, would bawl my eyes out and just cry and release and go through memories and basically work out all of these beliefs, let go of all of these conditions around dark sexuality, around what sexuality is, and basically just, it was like therapy, yeah. So I basically healed and released a lot out of me. And when you do that, it then opens you up to start receiving the good stuff because you're no longer blocked. So not only did it help me heal, but it helped me open me up to pleasure because my body was so blocked and sexually shamed and hurt from my sexual trauma that when I actually opened up, I was able to finally receive pleasure and actually allow myself to receive pleasure and orgasm and really feel that life force energy radiate out of me. And I feel like back then that was kind of the basis of what I did. And now, should I stop there? Is that good?
As much space as you need to take up.
Okay. And now fast forward to where I am now, how it's impacting my life right now is it's like, I like to call it like Alice in Wonderland, the rabbit hole, where sacred sexuality just keeps going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And the more you practice it, the more levels you open of it. So fast forward to where I am right now in my sexual practices is reclaiming the word pussy, reclaiming how I connect with my pussy, listening to it, and how I fully inhabit my sexuality, and working with yoni health, and basically knowing that the center of my power is within my pussy, is within my pleasure, and fully inhabiting that has impacted my life to the point where I'm confident, to the point where I actually am starting to speak my boundaries, I'm starting to speak the truth of what I actually desire, I'm starting to step more into my leadership. It just keeps snowballing. So I could go on and on, but that's why I stick with it, is because I keep going down the rabbit hole.
Why don't you list some key points?
Okay. Of how it's impacted my life?
Yeah, basic key points like
leadership. Yeah.
Boosts in energy, the benefits of it.
Yeah. Okay, so number one is your pleasure and your sex explodes. Because everybody, I know that's like something that people want to know about, so I usually go into the more spiritual things, but your pleasure and your sex explodes in a beautiful way. So you start deepening into energetic orgasms, cervical orgasms, vaginal orgasms, clitoral orgasms sometimes. Nothing's wrong with it. Nipple gasms, like you just start, your pleasure and your connection to pleasure explodes. Your union with your partner or with yourself is so deep and heartfelt and fulfilling because you're willing to go to those depths. Confidence, connecting to your power, speaking your boundaries, healing, releasing old stuck energy, re-sensitizing and strengthening your vulva, healing your body, not just your yoni, your sexual organs, but healing your body with your life force energy, and also energizing your body with your life force energy is a really, really big one. Yeah, those are a few key points.
Lovely. Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you. I feel like I was yelling there.
Yell all you want. So, what do we got now? So, we kind of went over the next question, which is benefits. What does it feel like to, if you have the experience of harnessing your sexual energy? So, like, could I speak a little bit?
Yeah, I would like to hear, Michael, as a man.
As a man.
How is it?
As a manly man.
I'll just kind of mix those two. Impact, benefits, and what does it feel like to harness sexual energy? So, the impact it's had on my life is literally I have energy to do anything. Like, for example, last night, even after retaining my semen for a long period of time while still connecting to Zoe and learning to properly circulate it through squeezing the perineum, drawing the energy up the spine, down through the third eye to the tip of the tongue, and then down to the sacral, and then straight to the perineum again. That experience, just in that, has changed how I can continuously build up sexual energy without being depleted. So, for example, I do not, at this moment in my life, I do not have this huge inkling to ejaculate anymore. It's not a big deal anymore. It's like, I'm not going to be like, oh, great, now I'm going to have this experience and then I'm going to feel super low energy. Then I'll feel some like shame because I haven't done what I truly like honored myself for. I'm going to like kind of downward spiral. So that doesn't happen anymore. So that's how that's impacting my life. And then the benefits, I'd say, is like tons of energy, so much energy. Especially as a man, it's different for a man because our testosterone is like freaking way up there. I could probably, if I was retaining my semen and circulating it through like a full month without it, like, while only like releasing on the full moon, I'd probably be up till like 12 at night and waking up at 5 in the morning. Like it's that powerful to learn these techniques. And yeah, so there's energy, there's just overall like organ health, because I'm very connected to like how my body functions. My kidneys feel better, my adrenals feel better, my just all my organs feel more healthy and like functioning properly while like eliminating waste through my body. So what else is there? Very clear vision and radiance that will draw people into what you're doing, your purpose.
That's a big one.
That's a huge one. Like I find if I'm a coach, or if I'm like for all the coaches out there, people who are stepping into roles of leadership, people would feel my energy if I was constantly like releasing all the time or watching porn or like, it's just, it's not healthy. Because say for example, I'm in a role of leadership and like I'm holding a ceremony and like porn's twisting my mind to look at women. People feel that. Like people are magnetic just like I am. So the power of harnessing that sexual energy will change your relationship to your own business. Even if it's like carpentry, or like, your radiance will draw people into what you're doing. They'll be interested. They'll be like, I want some of that stuff that guy's got, you know?
Yeah.
And like, I want to be like that, you know? So, yeah, what does it feel like? It feels like you're a radiant ball of energy that just like can do anything.
You're like a glowing golden sun.
A fiercely loving, powerful human being that like can change the world. Basically become a creator of your own reality.
Yeah.
And one of my teachers, Sadhguru, he specifically spoke to, if you're able to control your body, you can manage and control and like control basically like 30% of your life. If you master your mind, you can control about 70% of your life and like your destiny. If you master your energy and your life force, you can control 100% of your life. You become a master of your reality, and that's what human beings are capable of. So, yeah, sexual energy is huge, but not just retaining your semen as a man. Learning to circulate that energy and allow it to be a source for your creation. That's different. I've retained my semen for years, and like, it's beautiful in a way, and it breeds and invites a lot of stillness. But when you can sit with that energy moving through your body and be conscious of it and be connected to it without fear, without anything, with just objective connection, you can like create everything you ever dreamed of. So that's the biggest one.
Yeah, and I think it's just one thing to say too, for men, they lose a lot of their life force energy through ejaculation, especially if you're doing it all the time. You're losing your life force energy, and essentially you're losing your power. And for women, you lose a lot of your life force energy through menstruation. And that's not to be afraid of menstruation or say that it's bad, but there's simply practices that you can do in order to harness your menstrual times. And then also, like you were saying, with the circulating your life force energy, I think there's a lot of talk about semen retention and like, basically just semen retention. But if you're doing semen retention and all of your energy is in your lingam all the time, you're gonna go freaking crazy. Like, you're not using that sexual energy. It's not going anywhere. It's not flowing. It's just down there, you know? So the fact that, you know, he's had the past of like just doing that and then doing the circulating your sexual energy, that's when you actually allow your sexual energy to flow throughout your entire body. And then also, your energy is smart, your body is wise. So your energy is going to flow to the places that need healing, to the places that need energy. You can even ask your energy where to go. So basically, like Michael was saying, you become a master of your reality simply by listening and working with your sexual energy. Yeah.
And that's through the breath.
Yeah.
Like, I've also had experiences making love just to myself through the breath, like conscious connected breathing, where I remember this time I went to, basically after like an hour of breathing, I drew the energy up my spine and held my breath and then connected to like where my sexual energy is, which is like my sacral. And I actually was able to move this energy through my entire body. I could move it wherever I wanted to. And at that time I had some knee issues, so I moved it directly to my knees. And like, I felt this like healing that was happening, like regeneration of my knees. And yeah, human beings are unbelievably powerful. Like, And that's what a lot of things or whatever, agendas are occurring at this moment. They're trying to suppress that. Mm-hmm. So take your power back. Mm-hmm. And say, have some fierceness behind your reality and say no. Mm-hmm. I want my life back. I want my life force back. I want to be able to do anything I want to do. Mm-hmm. So, power to you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And one thing I wanted to also say was, like Michael said, like, you can make love to yourself in different ways. Once you start opening the door to pleasure, and once you start opening different, so when you do the circulation of your sexual energy, there's actually meridians and different energy centers along that circuit. And once you start opening those, you will start receiving pleasure in all the ways. So also, we're not just talking about just sex or just self-pleasure. You can breathe and receive the pleasure by just simply being present with your breath in your body, or being out in nature and being penetrated by the sun. Your life begins to start to basically reflect your inner world of pleasure into the outer world. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Lovely. Yeah, so important. And I like to point out one thing. I want to kind of go into the relationship to pleasure before this other question, because it's kind of interlinked right now. My relationship to pleasure was different like 5 years ago. And this wasn't necessarily because of certain traditions that I was following, but it was because of how I was perceiving the traditions. But I was on a very Buddhist path, so it's very like retain your semen, like morality, meditation. Like that was my path, and it was to be aware of pleasure and pain, and not disconnect, but to see them as like basically like to not crave pleasure and to not like crave and chase pleasure, and to not suppress and avert pain. So my mind basically took it as pleasure was bad and pain was good, or something like that. But not like in a way, my mind took it in a different way. It wasn't like the right way, I think, at this moment in my life, but basically my relationship to pleasure was suppressed. Suppress pleasure, push it away now, do not crave it. So now it's like, how can I truly enjoy life, but still be aware of it? It's like there's nothing wrong with pleasure and there's nothing wrong with pain. And from my experience at this time is that is where the equilibrium is. It's not necessarily like now craving pleasure is bad and pain is something I should be experiencing more often. It's kind of delusional, but at this point in my life I was quite delusional a while ago, I guess. So
he was a monk in the Himalayas.
No, I was doing monk things for quite a while. Yeah, at times I was in the Himalayas, which is beautiful. But the intention about these paths, in my perception, is pleasure. Do not seek minute pleasure. Do not seek the simple experience of ejaculating. Do not seek the pleasure of like a burger. Do not seek the pleasure that the tongue gives you. Like, do not seek such simple, basic pleasures, and seek higher truths, higher dimensions of reality, the higher mind, or like seek something that is of like depth, deep pleasure, which is this, you become connected to the source of pleasure itself. And that can be through meditation, that could be through sacred sexuality practice, it could be through breath work, it could be through so many different avenues of spiritual practices.
It could simply be like sitting in nature, connecting to the earth. It could simply be like shutting off all your technology and just being with yourself and your loved ones. Like, I think what we're trying to share is that like there's this need to grasp at these very unfulfilling modes of pleasure, like ejaculation or clitoral coming all the time. I mean, clitoral coming sometimes is nice.
Yeah.
Ejaculation every, in moderation, everything in moderation.
But much audio.
Yeah. And then also, like eating McDonald's or eating Panda Go, like instead of going for the things that aren't going to actually satisfy and fulfill that heart of yours, and the craving for desire is because you want that desire, but you want it so that it's fulfilling. So like the act of sacred sexuality and breathing through your lovemaking, or the act of circulating your sexual energy, or the act of eating a gourmet, organic, healthy meal, those are going to be soul fulfilling, whereas these other pleasures are going to be short-lived and what did you call it? Minute. Yeah. So the Sacred Sexuality podcast is going to be a series. So this will not be the only one, because it's such a vast topic that we're going to do many more, going into more specific things. This was just a little taste.
A little taste for you guys. And remember, stay in touch with that sexual energy. Don't seek minute pleasures. So, I'm just a challenger. It's what I do.
It's a challenge.
And I'm just playing with you guys. Yeah. Like, do what you want, experiment, have fun.
For all the human design nerds, Michael has the channel of challenge.
Yeah, it's basically connected to my heart and my G center, and it's like constant challenge, constant motivation,
right?
Constantly just firing people up.
Fire heart.
Yeah, fire
it's
heart.
It's a fucking fire heart.
Got a fire heart.
Yeah.
Oh.
I said fuck.
Bleep that out. Okay, so...
We said lingam,
Yeah. Anyways, there's going to be a series on this. Also, if you're just enjoying these podcasts, you can subscribe, you can like the video, comment below if you have any questions, or if you want different topics about sacred sexuality, or if you want different topics about anything, we're here to just spread whatever is coming through.
Yeah.
This being. So.
Leave a comment, message us. We also have our Instagrams and our websites below.
Yeah. All the social media handles below, and So thank you all for staying tuned. And to wrap up, we just love to close with 3 Ohms. So allow yourself to connect to your body again, the vibrations in your body, the frequency of yourself, and just breathe in. Breathing in now. All the love.
Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in the next one.